Hello, hello. Let me see current place in my streaming, and I do that like this. Okay, looks like we are live. And let me double check sound. Okay. I dropped something. So, welcome to my stream number 105. It's part 105 of series Late Night Talks with Romantic Developer. Where we talking about multiple things, starting from state of artificial intelligence, state of computer science, and other things like state of politics, um, media, some conspiracy theories, as well maybe some science news, and ending by such things like self-effectiveness, self-inspiration, fatherness, fatherhood, or husbandhood as well. Yeah, all those are interesting topics. We covering them. Normally, I do like maybe 10 minutes of personal reflections and then some random time of some software development task. Right now, we are working on prompt for ChatGPT system to make a perfect video sections, and so far it doesn't work well. We already tried to do everything as a single prompt. Maybe we need to do something like multi-step prompts. I'm more and more thinking towards this idea. It's about our part in software engineering, so it would be prompt engineering right now. And because prompts, I'm still not fully experiencing that. What I mean, I could clearly identify task what I need, but it's not what what prompting engine like LLM, basically language completion model, expects all the time. So I could provide very clear task, but it's not artificial intelligence yet. It's just a completion engine. So it's trying to guess what I need based on what input I provide. And here, yeah, it's not always performs as I wish. I think still we trying to provide not too overcomplicated task, but maybe we just need to make it simpler by in step by steps in scenario. So let's see how it possible. But yeah, today today is already Monday, so late, and it's Monday in Pacific time, so I believe most in all United States it's already Monday, and it's my Saturday stream. Saturday was a nice day. I've I've spent it with family, and we did a lot of cool things, mostly shopping, some restaurants. So we just spent time together, and it ended with some unexpected journeys, adventures, which we completed basically the next day. So yeah, it was a very long day, and tomorrow would be a long day of work. So I'm preparing for tomorrow's. I still need to do a few small tasks, so today I will not go to our software development part. I'm just talking about it. And about personal reflections from today. Again, the whole day was so busy that for some reason it all day was in some communications, and they were interesting, but yeah, I haven't thought about something very deep. When I talked right now, I just remembered that I saw a book, The War or something, in Kostka. Yeah, I've been to Kostka today. And normally I'm looking at some books. They sometimes have beautiful and interesting books. And now, after everything I know now, I looked at that book, and you know, I tried to read it, like read some um, reviews. No, it's like reviews, but from famous people, how it's called. Yeah, some inspirational notes about those books, that it's very interesting, it's allow people to think, it's etc etc. But I see that many people which are clever, which are intelligent, they don't like to think, they don't like to investigate some topics. They live in their own world, and they really hardly can go beyond this world. And it's not problem with people, because I respect all of those people. But the problem that yeah, it's require a lot of energy and a lot of openness of mind just to ask yourself, what if? And then when you ask what if, you could try to see, okay, let's imagine that something is possible. Let's try to find some information which and we look from different angles on the same facts and the same information, and we start to looking at it, and more information and more wide view we see, and it's create even more questions, and you need to search even for more information, and so on. So it's not so simple to see from different angles, because you need twice energy if you look from two angles, and you need maybe 3 times energy if you look from three. And if you look maybe from 5, yeah, maybe it's not require 5 times energy, but yeah, maybe still 3, because you start optimize the things. Yeah, and yeah, looks like that book was written by some guy who interviewed Trump before, and it provide me some chance that it could be more or less more real than book from Democrats right now. Just because, in these elections, in these president elections, the Republicans, they like in opposition to current government, which are Democrats, and they try to talk opposite, and it looks like that opposite to Democrats would be more realistic, more realistic facts, basically, about multiple things in these wars. And in this book, they have a glance on two basically wars: in war in Ukraine and war in Israel. But for Israel, it's again, Republicans support a lot Israel, and I don't say they shouldn't support, but when someone supports someone, they stop be realistic, you know. They stop seeing something, but realistically, yeah. So realistically, our current present time shows that in current wars, it's very hard to be a winner. It's very hard to win. It's very visible in Ukraine Russia war. Even now, there is a state of the things when Russia mm, in better position because they have much more resources. They have much more even motivation in the army, and they have much more people. And because of multiple mistakes which war and Ukraine did, Russia now Russians think that actually all the Europe and United States want them to to be defeated, and they just don't like them. And you know, looking at everything that done in Europe, including like not um, including, you know, things like just firing people um, who were Russian artists, or just um, forbid some Russian culture, and so on and so on. Of course, it creates a very clear picture that it's not just that mistaken event from Russia President Putin, but also like people don't tolerate Russians at all. At least it's become like so visible, even if it's not true. For many people, it's not true. They could divide, you know, some decisions of some leader and all other people in that nation. Um, and yeah, so but we clearly see that even with the one of the strongest army, I still think it's Russia not the strongest army. I think it's maybe third after. I mean, maybe again it's complex question. Why? Because technically they're not strongest. Even Russia always, of course, invest a lot of into their army, but there are a lot of corruption in that country because they're very similar to any um, country, post-USSR countries in this. And like in Ukraine, in Russia, and other countries, there are a lot of corruption. Many people steal money where they shouldn't be stolen. So not all of their, not all they believe they have, they actually have. But anyway, they have a lot of different projects, army projects. They have a lot of. They could build everything they need to fight, even if they need to import something like some microchips, boards, and something from other countries. But again, that dependency is not so critical as many could think. So they technically very strong, and they have, of course, if you will compare, for example, United States and Russia, it wouldn't be like United States wouldn't be winner in everything. Yes, um, United States has maybe very good ships. Uh, how it's called? Which could be a base for aircraft, air, like air jets. Oh, sorry, I'm not good in this English terms. You understand what I mean. But Russia very strong in submarines, and they probably equal in some rockets. But Russia has much more longer history of producing supersonic rockets, and so on and so on. And also Russia have a very good experience in this war. So they have 3 years experience of fighting against a uh, real force. Ukraine, which is supported by all the Europe and United States, become a very good real force, fighting mostly with the same equipment and with the same system as all the Europe and United States have, maybe except very most modern systems, but they use like satellites, photos, and everything. They use Starlink to communication and so on and so on. So they maybe in many areas they even overcome Russian Russian army technically, but not of course in all. And Russia of course become more and more strong. So maybe I want to put the Russian army on the third place after United States and China, but now I'm not sure. Maybe it's divided first place. I think yeah, United States, Russia, and China mostly in some terms equal in the military force. Of course, Russia has the most biggest nuclear power, but who knows how many can actually fly. um, I think they're mostly equal with the United States here. Of course, it's sufficient for destroy our world as we know it. Okay, and I read so many fakes. I read so many stupid things in very famous newspapers and very famous authors about this war. It was complete lie, complete fake about some events, and you just read their news from people who actually are on the battle from both sides. Basically, now you could read it from any side. Of course, mm, news could be compromised, but if you read maybe about the similar event from like 6 different sources, and you understand what is most probably true, it's not as complex, because yeah, you can understand what sources are more truthful, what are less truthful, and at the end you could see okay, it's most probably true. And then you read like United States newspaper and it say, like 95% different story. What? Come on. And people of course believe it because it's famous newspaper. Yeah. And if you look at the but yeah, I want to say that it's very hard to win. So even Russia is doing better now to completely win Ukraine. Maybe it took, I don't know, with this tempo, it took not years, it took dozens of years. But who knows, maybe tomorrow all people in Ukraine say, okay, we are tired, we just want to stop. Who knows? But if nothing changed, the war wouldn't end in the next 10 years for sure. Uh, about Israel is even more interesting story. In the Gaza, Hamas, uh, they it's not very strong. Israel has uh, better everything. They have better army. It's one of the best army in the world. They have a full control of air, and they use it. You know, they have very sophisticated machines, tanks, everything they could, and they could control the territory of the Gaza very well because it's very small. It's just maybe it's less than New York for sure. I mean, it's less than any major city in the United States. It's quite small, and it's fully surrounded. They surrounded. It was fully surrounded by ocean and Israel, and from one side it's um, his neighbor Egypt, and but the Israel, yeah, also uh, have control over that border as well. And today is 28. So yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, was 1 year after they started operation which should do two things. One thing is to free victims, not victims, maybe victims, yes, those guys which Hamas took as like as victims, prisoners. I don't know. They took these people from Israel territory. Hostages. Yes. I played Counter Strike. I know what is hostages. I just forgot this word. Sorry. So about hostages. So one thing is to free all the hostages. It's not the very dramatic number. It's maybe about 100, maybe less than 200. It's about 200, I believe. And other things is to destroy Hamas forces. And where they have partial success, they destroyed Hamas kind of leadership, known leadership, but not Hamas forces. And they fight for 1 year, one of the most strong army in the world, one of the most technically one of the most technical army, one of the best army in techniques, in supplies, with huge support from United States, and that support not as liquid as for Ukraine. Let's say that it's quite strong, and they couldn't finish it. They couldn't achieve their goals. They couldn't destroy such a small forces. They mostly destroyed all the buildings on the territory. They killed a lot of civilians using the airstrike and everything, but they couldn't achieve very simple goal, strongest army in the world. So that is the fact, and it says for us that okay, now wars is not couldn't be ended very quickly, and it's very hard to win. People should start negotiation at some point, and you see, when there are no negotiations, there are so many deaths. Yeah, so that book, yeah, creates so many emotions, so many thoughts in my head, and I couldn't say for sure if I could recommend that book or not. Maybe I need to buy it next time and read. But yeah, the reality is that right now wars are even more stupid than before. It's very hard to achieve something with these wars, except of course killing multiple people create situation when people very hardly could go to the peace, because the more longer war, the harder then people will live together. It's like with Ukraine and Russia. I was born in USSR, in time of USSR, and there wasn't a question that like people are the same in both countries, because they travel so much. Normally we have some system when you go to university, then you should go to work somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any other country has it, but it was like government program. Education was free, but you have to work somewhere for some time after that. Not for free, but you could choose, but not too much. And many people travel. They were assigned to some different location. And USSR was like United States. There are multiple countries, but they were like together, like they were like states. There was one center, like Moscow, like Washington DC right now, and there are multiple countries, like 16 countries, smaller. Some of them could have their own language, but of course, like federal language was Russian, and everyone knows it. And like people from Washington state maybe don't like people from, I don't know, Texas or from other state. Again, I don't know. I believe United States people from every state likes each other. And so it was very similar. Like you're from Ukraine, you're from Belarus, you're from Russian, all were like very connected. There are many families which are from different parts of USSR, and so on and so on. And of course, each language was respected, etc., etc. And then, so people were quite united. I remember that even when I was a child, but I saw so many movies, read so many books, and yeah, of course, main language was Russian, but it's again, as I remember in my age, and it's early, maybe late 1980s. Yeah, Ukrainian was quite spread as well, at least in my country, in Ukraine. And then it was a time of independence, so-called independence. One day, USSR fall apart. Uh, Big applause in all world from Europe to United States because it was the main enemy of those countries. And yeah, created very in very short period of time 16 countries were created, and of course they should be there are so many structures were targeted to get some control, some influence in those countries. So, and Ukraine was very close to Russia all this time, but in yeah, closer to revolution of dignity, so called. 2012 it's become, it's yeah, you know, all the governments are similar. There are good people, there are bad people, there are corruption. Somewhere it's more hidden, somewhere it's less hidden. And yeah, in 2012 there was the same corruption as always, but it was less hidden and more people. Yeah, so it wasn't done right. I mean, it wasn't done completely badly. So people live and they were happy and they could make some money, etc., etc. But for some businesses, for some companies, uh, you should you should be friends with the government, and to be able to work, and you need to pay more than you should, I mean, as in taxes. So it was like some informal taxes, and of course not everyone was happy about that, and it wasn't right. mm, but it's actually exists all the time, especially, I mean, in my countries, that type of bureaucracy. But yeah, because when there were some events when some students came for to say that they don't want to go, like they don't want to be rejected from Europe Union. I mean, not rejected, but that association with Europe Union. When they understand it's not happening, they go to protest, and then those protests were, mm, yeah, was yeah, some military, not military force, some police try to remove those protesters from main plaza in Ukraine, and it was filmed very well. And the next day, many people go to that plaza to say, "Hey, don't do that." And it's how that protest started, and they were maybe for about 4 months, and it ended that president of Ukraine of those time flew from country after he tried to forcibly, yeah, uh, remove those people from that plaza, and even some deaths happened. Not some, about 100 deaths. So, yeah, and after that, more and more, let's call it, anti-Russian policy start to appear, especially when after that flee of President Russia, instead of accepting that, or I don't know, they take some areas of Ukraine like Crimea, and helped some rebels in other regions which which also has own vision of all these events because of media, and they have partly truthful, partly not truthful vision. So, situation and everything is right, but it's very hard to negotiate, especially when no one wants. Okay, some wants, but some doesn't want. So yeah, it was like, okay, it was, and all parties found good in not negotiation in that situation. So there are some, yeah, war events started even in that year. Oh, sorry, 2014, not 2012. And all those time, yeah, because of that conflict, uh, distance between Ukrainian and Russians become bigger and bigger. And of course, after the big war starts, it become uncrossable for many people, uh, because so many people died on that war. And yeah, actually, the war when people couldn't truly say it for what they are fighting. Of course, they could say they're fighting for winning, or they fighting to return something, etc., etc. But it's not any deep understanding. It's what they heard from someone and they just repeat, and they in process, and it's very hard to stop this process and go beyond this process and just try to see it and think about it. It's all possible to end very quickly if anyone think about people lives and happiness. But yeah, it's not happening again, probably because I don't want to blame one party. I think that both parties don't want to do that. Yeah, at the end, all wars are evil, and it's so stupid that this uh, we live in the world with so many technologies, and people choose still to try to destroy each other. It's this thing alone should say that we are not ready for any artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will never understand that. Or it understands that people are dangerous, of course. I mean, it's not logical. If yeah, if you try to think about it, you understand it's not logical. I know that even in nature, there are events when animals of one type could kill each other, but let's say that it's not often event. It's not happening of extinctions for of of multiple animals. It's maybe fight, and which normally not ended in death between two males, and when they fight for some territory or for some females, you know. So it's happening, but I mean, not not always, and it's not like the same type of animals will go and try to kill each other just because they want to protect kind of something. They choose, okay, yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to talk about that so deep. I need to do some learning, but I don't remember that except male fight. mm, Even male fight is not good, but it's not comparable to what people do. It's not comparable at all. Okay, sorry, I used a lot of time to talk about complex thing, completely not connected to any software development. I talk about wars which don't have any sense, which don't have any purpose except killing a lot of people and put a lot of hate between them for ages, for years, if not for ages. Right now, modern wars is very hard to win, and we see it looking into one of the most capable armies in the world. And if between Russia and Ukraine, it's problematic because it's a great support from half of the world to Ukraine, and it's a very big army in Russia and some support of some other countries, maybe from North Korea right now, yes, and from Iran. But with Israel and Gaza, and it's uncomparable army size and uncomparable technologies. It's uncomparable possibilities, and we still see that it's not so simple after a year to win kind of small war. So it's new realities, and probably they show that people shouldn't try to win that wars. Probably they should try not to start them. But from what I see right now, they just try to destroy as many people as they want, as they can, and looks like the whole world right now stays on the brink of war, of some global war. So yeah, it's very visible from how people talk everywhere, how government talk everywhere. They not talk peaceful, they talk from position of force, which not capable anymore to do a winning, Okay, let me finish today's stream. I'll do technical part tomorrow, and for today I just wish you to try to resolve all your problems, all your questions with power of wisdom, not with power of killing someone or power of force. It's not the best power, because whenever you use force, you could expect someone else will use much bigger force against you. So, but if you solve something with wisdom, even if someone will use bigger wisdom to you, it's not sound scary, It's nice because you could learn and use wisdom and make more people live happily, learn, and so on. So yeah, try not to fight, nor in your work, nor in your family. Yeah, even with yourself. Okay, guys, I will be streaming another 50 days because I have a challenge to stream at least 152 days consecutively, and today is only 105 stream. So if you want to join me any day for another 50 days and maybe even more. I'm not sure about my plans after 50 days, but surely I will continue streaming. I just don't know the schedule. Normally on my weekdays, I will stream from 10 p.m. Pacific time PST. You could use anything like time body to see when it will be started on your clock. Yep, that's it. I would be happy to receive some comments from you in chat, in comment section below the video. I would be happy to discuss any topic you want to propose, or just receive some comments with some thank you or whatever you want to write. It's up to you. yeah, that's it. Okay, hopefully see you. Have a nice day or evening or night.